their stockings with a delicious treat and special edition holiday toy. Kinder Joy. Open a world of surprise.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Limbwalkers podcast. We've been doing this for a while. It basically celebrates the life and wisdom of Will Glaros, who has lived a rather interesting life and continues to do so. But one of the, more disturbing things about Will is that he has come for every one of these podcasts with a shoe that had a big piece cut out of it. Adriana, we've all noticed this, right? And Adriana, our producer's saying nothing because, but for the very first time, you have an actual shoe on that hasn't been modified. What happened?
I finally healed to the point where the wound that I had is no longer evident or hurting, and I have been a diligent. This is where I've used my self-discipline to do all the things I had to do for the last 9 months. And now I can finally walk in a shoe without having a hole cut out of it, or walking in a shoe that's about 3 sizes too big so I look like a clown. But it's good. Success, victory.
Adriana, do you have any comment besides I think that we need a little bit of applause here. So way to go to Will Glaros on doing it.
We're healed.
You know, it was actually, Adriana, it was pretty ingenious the way he had it. He would always wear a black sock.
Yeah, it was covered up. You couldn't tell unless you looked.
And the only thing is you're back there in the fishbowl, and I'm right here.
He can look at it.
Not look at it. I'm within 2.5 feet of what I know is obvious destruction between the sock that's sticking out. So, it never really smelled.
Well, that's because I bought like 10 pair of low little anklet socks and 10 pair of the longer ones, all black, so that I could either wear shorts with a pair of shoes on and have the low riders, or I could go with regular pants, have the ones up the calf. And fortunately, it helped me hide the wound.
I don't want to get too graphic here, but
here we go.
Here he is wearing shorts and ankle socks and a black shoe with a big hole in it. If that doesn't scream Midwest tourist, nothing does. Right?
My wife had to stop me, too, because I really wanted to take that idea to Allbirds Shoe Company and see if I could convince them to actually start a line of shoe helpers like that. Because there's plenty of people who have feet problems, especially with the bunions and things like that. So I figured, why not? You have to always be thinking of ideas, new things, creativity.
Let's talk about thoughts today and achievement and the connection between thought and achievement. And I'm so glad you're hitting this one because out of this podcast, we've talked a lot of things. You've got a creed. You've talked about motivational thinkers. I think this one thing of link between thought and achievement is probably the one more salient characteristic of what we're doing that has landed with me personally. But what do you mean by the link between thought and achievement?
Well, I think that it's impossible. I mean, no, I shouldn't say nothing is impossible, but it is less likely that a person will achieve a goal that they have. So let's just basically focus on a goal. If they can't picture it, see it, think about it, investigate it, to be able to learn everything that they can in order to achieve that goal that they have. You have to see it. I mean, I've shared in the past with the audience just the writing down goals. I mean, if you'll just do something as simple as writing a goal down, assuming if it's a physical goal, that you're physically capable of achieving it, but that you want to achieve, write it down, or any number. I used to write down every Friday, I had a goal list. And I would write down all the things that were goals of things I wanted to get done in the next 6 months, the next year, and maybe the next 5 years. I would read that list every day. I would rewrite that list every Friday and then read it every day, month after month after month. When you can put a vision of something into your head, it doesn't mean it's going to happen for sure, but you're already one step ahead of trying to achieve that goal. You have to see it if you want to achieve it.
So do you need to, you have to write it down, or can it be verbal, or what?
I mean, I suppose it could be verbal for some people. For me, and what I found with most people that talk about achievement and everything, most people have a list.
So you have a list of goals,
right,
which I am more than casually against. If you have followed this podcast, Will's a doer and a positive thinker and a motivational speaker now on his podcast here. And I'm a slacker, went to Berkeley and kind of hangs out, right? I mean, that's what I thought I was. But I started doing this podcast, and I'll get to how I envision what this is all about. But so how is there a process, or how do you go about taking it from a thought to an action, from a goal to an achievement?
Okay. I just happen to have brought my chart with me. And I am not going to tell you this is my chart. It was actually put together by the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Hold on a second. She's got the camera on you, so you need to stick it up and point it this way over a little bit left there. There you go. She can't fully read it, but I'll read it. All right, the science of your success. The conscious mind goes to a definite major purpose, and then you're imprinting it on your subconscious mind. So you have a conscious goal, conscious thought, and then you somehow imprinted it to your subconscious mind. Then conscious and subconscious, I guess. Then you have a motive for the purpose, and then it just becomes a passion. And that passion somehow turns into action, and then you're just running it through your mind. You're thinking, you're working towards it. You get a repetitive thought on the purpose. Fail a few times, you have a couple successes, but eventually you get the achievement that your conscious mind originally came up with.
Correct.
So let me go through this. Let me simplify it in meathead terms. Conscious mind, I want to get this done. Okay? You think about the purpose and you kind of think about it, and then all of a sudden you have imprinted it on your subconscious mind.
And that's where the creative thinking happens, is in that subconscious mind. So you've taken it in virtually yourself. And it's got to be a goal. I mean, it could be any goal, I suppose, but it's more important if you can actually have a passion for it. That's the key. Drive it to passion so you're not easily derailed from what you're trying to achieve. Because that's what happens. People get started, they get a couple of bumps in the road, and they just figure, this isn't meant to happen. And that's when you've got to keep going. And that's why it has to be something you're passionate enough about, you want to happen. I mean, as an example right now, I'm running into roadblock after roadblock of trying to find a way to teach these skills to kids in school as part of a curriculum. And I probably should just quit. But you know what? I look at that as one of my goals, and I can't quit because I think it's so important. That's the passion. I want to drive that passion to help these kids live a life without the worries and frets. Not that you'll ever be worry-free, but with the knowledge of how to accomplish things, to make them happen.
So here it is, to give a little context. If you're just coming across this podcast, I think we're actually live on the radio. As a matter of fact, we're live here in mid-December of 2025. And what is that saying? What are you saying? December 11th. Thank you. This is why, we have a rock star producer.
Yes, you do.
You were like the third or fourth podcast?
I believe he was the third, if not the fourth. You are correct.
So you were the third podcast on her network. And we started
and I'm proud to be part of it.
And now she's got 20 podcasts.
Woo!
And she just
now we're going to hit 30 by summer, hopefully.
That must have been why she was celebrating last Friday with a strange woman at Cooper's Hawk.
I saw Will at Cooper's Hawk. I had taken my grandmother to Cooper's Hawk after we did a little Christmas shopping, and because she listens to all the podcasts, so we're there, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know you. And then I introduced her, and I was like, he does the Limbwalkers podcast. She was like, oh, okay. Like, she knew exactly who he was.
Yeah, that was fun. And I think I'd had half a bottle of wine by the time I walked out of there. So if I said anything.
No, you're fine.
Phew.
Let's use that example. Okay?
Okay.
Let's use this. It took us 5 years to build this sports network. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, hey, listen, I think it's rocking. I need to go back and work on radio. And Adriana's working with me and 3 other students. It's just me and 3 students that run a whole radio and podcast network. And I said, Adriana, I want to just do radio, and I want to get back to it. And she's like, well, we really need to be on YouTube. And I'm like, I really don't want to. Well, now we're on YouTube. People are watching us right now, and we get a lot of hours of viewing, and I'll give it. But the one thing that she's been able to do is, like I said, look at that. She said, I want to be 30 podcasts by spring. Trying to say I have 30. So there's a goal. It's conscious. Now I got a feeling she goes back to the dorm, still living over here in the dorm. And she's, hanging out, doing her homework, taking a shower, getting ready. I got to believe that sometimes you're thinking about ways to make that happen underneath your conscious everyday thinking.
Yeah.
I'll look at certain things, especially with the production classes that I take, and different ways that they are innovative and they give me inspiration in that sense. So somebody will be talking about a topic, I'm like, it'd be a great podcast. Or somebody does a quick shortcut in an editing class, I'm like, that could save us time. So it's constantly always there, and then just like meeting different people, life experiences. I'm like, you got a story, you got a story, you got a story. So it's different. It's very cool to think of.
So this of getting to 30, we're going to keep doing this podcast. So let's look. All right, so you want to get to 30 by?
I would like it by summer, but if not, then by the end of 2026.
Okay. So you want to add 10 podcasts.
So a half of what you've got right now.
So you want 50% growth in 1 year. That's massive in any industry. So, all right, let's see where that goes. Let's see if you get there earlier than you would have thought. So,
have you written that down?
Oh, the goal? No, but I know that that's a great way to just kind of envision and manifest.
And that won't just put down 5 goals you have for the next, let's just say, 12 months through that December of 26 year. Write it down, reread it, those goals every Friday. Just check it out. Mm-hmm. It could
do.
So
maybe it's just for me, but I don't think so. It's common knowledge. When you want something bad enough, you've got to visualize it again and again. The best way to do it is write it down and look at it.
So I will concur with what Adriana just said, is that I notice that I know where I want to get the sports network to, or I know where I want to get the radio to, that if I have specifically set some goals, that I find myself, especially, and my wife's like, gosh, you take the longest showers. I go, well, I think I'm running stuff through there in a subconscious method. And I have noticed that if I say I want to be here by some time, that you're right, I go back and then my mind is kind of taking it over, like Adriana was talking. She wants to get to 30, or she wanted to get to 20 or whatever she got by the, here we are at 20. We started with 1. And that was only me, and it wasn't really a podcast. So really, we started at none at the beginning of 2025. So we went from 0 to 20, and you cannot accept any more before now and the end of year. Okay?
So don't write down 30.
Now, you can write down 30 for next year, but
For 2026, not 2025.
anything that happens from now until the end of the month
the last 3 weeks
goes against 2026.
Okay.
Right? We made it from 0 to 20.
That's right.
That's
We want
as
her
far
to
as we're
reach
going.
that 30 goal.
Yeah, we'll get it, but you could put it in next year. But
Okay.
here's what I noticed, that if I consciously put out that I want to get this done, that I am subconsciously working toward it. But it has to be done like you said. You have to admit to that goal. You have to write it down. And I have to write it down, and I have to see it. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to happen, so that I'm pulling my – it's kind of weird, but you pull yourself toward it. I don't like I don't like active I don't like active writing or active creativity. I think it gets in the way. I think that Charles Bukowski had it right when he said, don't try. If you're trying, then you're kind of pushing out the good stuff. But that only goes so far. But for me, I've learned now, visualize that goal and just let yourself pull yourself there.
I think an advantage not an advantage, but a good aspect that you have is by having a group of people that you're then working with, you feed off of one another, whatever that goal may be. So Adriana and everyone out in your sales team, if you're talking weekly in meetings, talking about the goal, what do we want to accomplish? What are we going to make happen? Everybody is generating thought through their mind. You can't help but retain that within your head and be thinking, how can we reach that? How can we do it? When like the operation, my insurance operation, it was basically initially myself and 2 or 3 assistants. And then when Matt came in, we expanded more and we had a larger group. But I don't know that that's a different set of goal setting, but the goal was always to exceed the prior year's revenue without anyone being impacted in a negative way.
It was also a goal to get make a nice path for your son.
Exactly.
And then your daughter.
And then my daughter.
So
I'd still like to get her on a podcast.
You know what?
If you're listening.
She's got, you know what? These things have to happen when people are ready. Yeah. Adriana, haven't you noticed that? Was like right now we just kind of signed the cow guy, right? And I've talked to him in the past. I did a podcast with him, and he came to us, and finally I think it manifested, and he wanted to do a podcast because I got other people after me. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden he signed up with Adriana. I'm not really sure why, because he's a nationally known figure. And I think it was a similar process. He's like, I want to get to where I can tell my life story. He's had a lot of tragedy.
Yeah.
And I want to get there. And he thought it through, and he's like, I'm not altogether sure my best bet isn't a 21-year-old running her own podcast network. And he went through that subconscious look, and then here we are bringing him in. So yeah. I want to know, does this work all the time?
No.
Explain.
Well, we all have a moving set of new things we're introduced to and new sensations we want to achieve or experience and things like that. And it just depends how important in the hierarchy of our mind we put it in order to make it happen. So, as an example, let's say I decided I wanted to win well, they don't even have a Hammond Times Golf Championship any longer at this point. But if there still were a senior, I wanted to win it. I mean, I could put that goal in my mind all I wanted to. This body is not the 17-year-old body that won the Times Junior 50-some years ago, 60 years ago. I can make it a goal and think I can achieve it, but I doubt seriously I'm going to do it out of reality.
So it doesn't work every time. You got to have a realistic goal.
Yeah.
And you got also, I'll put this other part in here, and this is a part you've always shied away from talking about this part, that there will be failure.
Yes.
In every journey. And there has to be expected to be failure. And how you deal with that. And I've brought that up several times, and you don't really want to acknowledge that part of it as much.
Well, it's failure. Boy, I can't even talk. Failure is something we all would like to forget, but we shouldn't. And I don't like to talk about things that are negatives, which are failures, as much as I do about things that I still can dream on. But failure is a training process to improve the path you're on. Because with every failure, you learn, oh, God, why did I do that? How did I get in this position? And you analyze it and go, I really shouldn't have been handling this person this way, or I shouldn't have been handling this client this way, or I didn't put the time in that I should have to become more proficient. Failure teaches you, if you're willing to take it. I'm more introverted with failure because I don't think I don't need to put it out there. Why talk about it? But I use it as a tool to excite myself to recover from a failure and to move forward. Everybody fails. I mean, I've given you that book. If there's a chapter in that book, The Best of Success, the quotes, it's the chapter on failure.
So who's best suited to put this theory? What would you? I mean, I don't even know what theory you would call it. Will Glaros' theory of activity.
This is. I mean, everything I'm talking about are things that I've learned from other people through reading, or writing, or watching them on, in programs, doing programs, live programs. I mean, when I had Rudy Rudiger here, the Rudy from the movie Rudy, I learned more from him because it was impressive to me. What I learned was, here was a guy who had maybe one of the worst cases of attention deficit disorder, but the guy never quit. His gift was tenacity and never quitting, no matter what happened to him. I mean, it was encouraging. And here's a guy like him, you're paying $5,000 and $10,000 and $15,000 to come and speak to a group of people, and he was a nobody. He was on the second team, the practice team for Notre Dame. How the heck did he even get on there? Because he never quit. So you learn something from each of these people as you move along. I mean, that's the beauty of this. It isn't not something. These aren't my ideas. They're my way of using them to succeed. But it's basic principles, just like this one that Napoleon Hill came up with, of, you get something, you lock it in your conscious mind, it goes to your subconscious. That's where you get yourself excited. Then you repeat, you get something that gives you emotion. When you have emotion, you then have action. And when you have action and you keep repeating it, you are likely to succeed, not guaranteed.
I was going to summarize your theory. You just did. And for me to conceive of it, I have to think of it like this. I'll go slightly different summary. The conscious mind, yes, I kind of have an idea where I want to go. It just comes up, and you know where you want to go, right? You let it fester, and then all of a sudden it's bubbling in your subconscious mind. And then all of a sudden you get these ideas, and you're like, all right, well, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do this, and you become passionate about it, right? And then you're like, all right, I kind of see that there's actual work to do, and I have to set up some routine or repetitive process to get there. And then the ultimate thing is that, hey, man, there's some achievement here. It's basically a five-step process. You get a conscious idea, let it fester, let it come through you. It's still becoming, kind of a passive thing. So you have the active, you think of it, and you go to the passive, let the subconscious take it. The passion, too, can be a little bit on you're not forcing it, it's just happening. So it's really a passive thing. And then your active thing is you're back to active, which would be repetitive processes. Then the achievement is kind of the culmination of both.
What's interesting is the one thing you haven't asked about on that chart is at the very bottom of it. And it is 3 lemons. And the reason I put that on there, it's because once you get into a track of doing something, it becomes part of your daily routine and you do it again and again. And I use the lemons because if I had a lemon here right now, and let's pretend I do. In fact, let's play a little mind game. Put your hand out and cup it like you're holding a lemon. And you have just cut that lemon in half. You've squeezed a little bit and there's lemon juice just at the top of that lemon. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take that lemon, bring it towards your mouth, take a great big bite. And your mind makes you honestly squelch up like you do when you bite it.
Like I just did. Yeah, the camera's not on me, but I did, yes.
When you do it, it is, and that's basically the...
Yeah, okay.
I mean, so it makes it happen because you're thinking about it being something. It's expecting a goal, expecting to accomplish, to achieve. You've got to see it. You've got to believe it. You got to actually visualize it. Not everybody can do that. When you ask the question, can anybody do that, or can you do it with everything? I don't think so. You have to find something you're passionate enough about that you want. I have told the story about Zig Ziglar when I went to his program in Texas. And I became so turned on to his way of explaining success and achievement that I decided I wanted to bring him here to Northwest Indiana. So myself, Len Sporman, got together, Len from Omni at that time. And there was purpose in me including Len. Number one, he was very excited about it. Number two, working at Omni, we could then use their facility to do the program. It took probably 4 years to accomplish the goal. I wrote it down. It was on my Friday goal list. Zig Ziglar, Northwest Indiana. They said from his seminar team, you can't bring him there. So I went from his seminar team, I went to his secretary, talked to her, and she said, well, maybe he'd do it if you do it without charging individual tickets, which is the path we took. And we ended up putting 1,500 people in the Omni Sports Complex 4 years later on something that pretty much followed this pattern we've been talking about. Every week I'd write it down. It became, so I could see it. I could feel it. I could hear the audience clapping when he got done with, and it wasn't even there yet. You've got to believe it. That's it's an old statement. If you want to achieve it, you've got to believe it. You've got to see it. You got to feel it. You got to taste it. And you do.
This has been the Limbwalkers podcast, celebrating the life and theories of Will Glaros. I'm Jim Delo. We're recording on the campus of Purdue Northwest. One of our last podcasts here, we're actually moving back to our old building into different podcast studios, but it's going to be the same idea. Most of all, perhaps, thanks to our producer of not just this podcast, but the entire network, and that is Adriana Alvarez. Will, I learned something every time from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you giving me the time.
Until next time, we'll see you later.